Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back in rFactor 2 and we're going to be taking a look at the Formula E 2021 season, which has just been released for the simulation. They've had Formula E cars in the sim for a couple of years. They've had the first gen car as well as this new second gen car for last year's season, but this new update includes obviously the new liveries and teams and cars and drivers for the 2021 season, which is coming up very soon, but it also includes the long awaited attack mode system, which was introduced last year but didn't make it in with the 2020 season. So we've now got attack mode to play with, so we're going to give that a go, see what that's like to drive, and also give our verdict on the Formula E car within rFactor 2. So let's jump into the sim now and see how we get on. Okay, before we jump on track in the car itself, there's a couple of things we need to do within the menus on rFactor 2. We've got the car loaded here, but if we need to go into the options section here, we need to map a couple of controls. So go down to the assign tab, under driving and other controls, there's a couple of things we need to do in here. So first of all, there's two options here for increment and decrement mixture, which basically means you're changing the engine power mode on the car, so you can decrease how much power is going from the battery to the motors, and then obviously increase that if you want a bit more power to overtake and etc. But if you're trying to save energy to get you through to the end of the race, this is where you change that power mode on the car itself. The other thing we need to do in here is a bit further down. There's an arm attack mode specific button which we need to map, which I've mapped to a button on my wheel here, same with the other two controls as well. So those are the controls that we need to take a look at. There's a couple of other things we need to do before we jump on track. So these other things that we need to change or look at are hidden away in the car itself. So we need to click on the car. Obviously you can choose which team you want to drive for. I'm going to drive for the Jaguar team because my race number is normally 20 and Mitch Evans is a favourite driver of mine, so we're going to drive this particular car. But what we need to do is we need to go into the customise menu for the car. So when this comes through into the screen here, obviously you've got the showroom section here, and this is where you would normally change a couple of things to do with upgrades on cars, etc. Here obviously you can change the transparency of the halo, so if you didn't want to have a solid halo right in front of you, you can have it on 10% transparency, so you can kind of see through it a little bit. But the thing that we need to look at here is this energy consumption. So this very much depends on how long of a race you're going to be doing with these cars. So if you're doing the standard 45-minute race, which is a standard length for Formula E, you'd leave it on the standard mode. And then there's various different options depending on the length of race selected. So you've got 35, 30, 25, 20, 15 and 10 minutes. And what this basically does is it changes the amount of energy used to simulate a proper race of Formula E. So if you're only doing 15 minutes, it'll do 3 times the amount of energy usage, so that you still have to manage your energy to get to the end of the race. So that's an important thing to set up when you're looking to set up a race. So we're going to put it on 15 minutes because we're going to do a 15-minute race at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Everything else you can't change, so you've got the attack mode there which is listed, and then engine mixture limits mod. So basically in practice mode you get as many times that you can use attack mode as you want. In the race you're limited and you have to use it 3 times. So that's the basics of the car and attack mode all sorted. So let's jump on track and see how it drives. Okay, so here we are in the pits, in our pit garage, in our Formula E car. So being electric, obviously there's no engine sound, so it's very, very quiet in here. The only sounds we're going to be hearing is the tyres and also the motors, which are kind of like a scale electric kind of noise, but that's okay. So engage first gear. There's only one gear to do with this. It's basically like driving a great big kart. We'll head out on track in our Jaguar Formula E car. Just avoid all the other cars on track here. So we're at Berlin Templehof Airfield, which is where they hosted the final 6 races of the season, which was affected by COVID. So we'll release the pit limiter and away we go. It's going to feel our way around this first lap just to get used to the car. Big long first corner here at Templehof. Kind of keeps going and going and going, and then you straighten up and there's a tight double apex right. Late apex there. Short squirt of power down to this tight left-hander. Obviously being a street circuit, there's concrete walls all over the place. And there's a bit of a long straight here where you get to open it up a little bit. Very, very bumpy, as you would expect, on concrete surface. And a hard stop. We're just going to let this other car go here, just let him get through there. That's where the attack mode activation zone is, on that corner on the outside there. This corner I really love. It's really, really quick, a little bit bumpy, but quite fun to hustle the car through there. And then down to a very tight hairpin right. take a hand off the wheel just because you've got to have so much lock put in. Now up towards the final corner on the circuit, which is another hairpin, this time a left-hander. Don't go on the really big curbs, it's going to go on the little rumble strip. And then the pit straight isn't really a straight, it's a big long curve really, and it's quite a tricky braking point into turn 1. Kind of feeling your way in on the brakes. It's quite easy to lock the brakes in this car. Really patient through there. Again through there. But just look at the cockpit of this car. It just looks really, really nice in here. See the carbon fibre all around you. It's nicely modelled, steering wheel's nice. And the Berlin track on rFactor 2 also looks fantastic too. Nicely modelled. And as you'd expect with rFactor 2, the force feedback is pretty intense. I've actually had to turn it down quite a bit just to prevent my poor old desk from shattering. But even with it turned down, there's so much information that comes through the wheel. And we know that from rFactor 2. We know it's very, very good on the force feedback side of things. So let's try and speed up a little bit here. So we're running on mode 8. There's 10 different engine modes, motor modes I suppose you can call them. So we're running on mode 8, which is your standard race trim. So it's not the full power from the engine. You can up that to mode 10, which is the full amount of kilowatt power that you get with these engines, these motors. I keep calling them engines, they're not engines at all. So we're just on race mode at the moment, just trying to get a feel for the car. Now there's treaded tyres on these cars, so it's not the same amount of grip as you'd get from slicks, but running on what are essentially roads, public roads, they don't have the same yield and grip as you would expect to find on a properly prepared race circuit. So they run on treaded road tyres, which makes it quite interesting when you're trying to look after the amount of grip that you have available. And when you got it turned up into the higher engine modes, it's quite easy to spin the rear tyres, and obviously with so much torque going through the rear wheels from these electric motors, you do have to be a little bit careful on the throttle of how much throttle you actually do apply. Down to turn 1 again. The car's trying to wiggle around under braking. Just kind of keep it tucked in on the left here and just wait for the corner to come back. Oop, a bit too much power. Trying to get it between the two corners there. Also, if you do lock up, you do run on, and it's very difficult to get back online and carry the speed. So down this bumpy straight once again. The car itself does feel really nice to drive, actually. And the great thing about the Formula E cars, I'm actually quite a big fan of Formula E in terms of what it can produce as a motorsport fan. Now I know there's a lot of people out there who think, oh, Formula E electric, it's just, you know, full-scale electric models. But for me, they do produce fantastic racing. They're very, very close. You can drive very closely to one another. There's enough aerodynamics to provide the grip, but as it's ground effect type aerodynamics, it means you can closely follow other cars. So you don't get stuck in a wake behind the car ahead of you with no way of getting close and overtaking it. And with the attack mode, which they've introduced, it adds another element of strategy, which is quite fascinating to see how it all unfolds in a racing situation. So it all makes for quite a good racing experience. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works here on a simulator, but so far so good. Right, this time around, let's go for an attack mode. So what you've got to do before you get to the zone, you obviously got to go through the attack mode activation area and activate 3 different sensors. But before you get in there, you've got to prime for activation, like I have done there. So I push my button, I've gone through the activation zone on the outside of the corner there, and now, as you can see, we've got attack mode armed. Oh, that's a big curb, don't want to hit that. Now it's set to last for 30 seconds. Now in the real world, attack mode actually goes on for 4 minutes. and I believe there's a way of changing that, but for the life of me I can't find it. So if you know how to do it, do let me know. But 30 seconds is what we're running with, and it basically gets you to there. So the attack mode's now ended at the end of the last corner there, so it doesn't give you an awful lot of time, but you do lose out in terms of track position. If you've got a car right behind you and you go take that wide line into the hairpin, you will lose out on track position, so you've got to time it in a good way so that you're not giving up a position on track. So if you've got a gap behind you that you can happily go through the attack mode activation and then drop in the same spot, that's the ideal situation. So let's turn our engine mode up a little bit. So we're on mixture 10 now, so this is the full qualifying mode, as you like. And instantly you can tell that the revs of the motors do get a little bit higher, and the speed certainly does pick up quite a bit quicker. So the car tries to oversteer quite a bit more, but you do have to brake a little bit earlier just to make sure you try and get these apexes. There we go, the back end's trying to come around on me again. Down to the last corner again. Got some other cars in front of us here. It's actually really good fun to drive this. I do enjoy driving the Formula E car. Can we round them up on the outside here? It's a move that has been done. Just about got him. And we got him. Very easy here to be too ambitious with the power and just leave it on for too long and just totally miss that corner. There we go, so we've got our engine mode turned up, so easy pass in a straight line. And to get on the brakes a bit earlier. Nope, too deep into there. It's going to come back at me on the inside. It's only practice, be careful. Here we go through here again. That's going to be late on the brakes. Just got it stopped. So difficult because obviously you've got those hairpins you only have one hand on because it's so much lock. And then when you've got the higher power modes, it starts to get away from you if you're not careful on the throttle. Right, very, very good. Okay, so we're in a racing weekend. Currently running out of battery. So, let's go qualify. See how we end up on the grid. And let's do a race with the attack mode activation. We're up against the AI, obviously. But let's see how we get on in qualifying. Okay, so it's qualifying time. So, engage first and only gear, and we'll head out on track. So we're going to do this as a Super Pole style qualifying session, so we're only going to get one lap. We're going to have our out lap, our time lap, and then our in lap as well. So only one chance to have a go at this, so we've got to make it a really good lap if we can. And away we go, and the beast, we're going to turn the power down for the out lap here, just because we want to try and save our energy as much as we can, but also we're going to try and save our tyres. So we're not going to go too quickly on this out lap. Just want to keep our maximum grip levels for when we really need them. I do love the way this Formula E car looks in the cockpit. It does look really, really cool. It's a really cool looking car as well by any standards. It's probably one of my favourite single-seater cars in terms of design. This looks really cool. Very different to anything else that's out there at the moment. It's really also quite difficult to spot where your apex points are in this car because of those big high bodywork front wings. You kind of have to pick a reference point where you need to turn in, and then also where the apex point is, you need to kind of figure it out based around what you can see around you. So very, very tricky, but super rewarding when you do get it right. So coming up to the last corner now, we're going to turn our engine mode up to full power DEFCON 10. We'll try and get a good exit out of this final corner if we can. Feed the power in nicely, and then here we go. So down to the first corner, we're going to keep it over to the right hand side here just to maximise our braking point run into turn 1. Try and carry the speed in if we can. Be a little bit early on the brakes there. Don't give it too much power in between the two corners. The car really does pick up and go on this engine mode. Over the corner here. Managed to keep the rear end in check. This thing, when it picks up, it's just like a jet fighter, it's up and gone. Oh, that's going to be deep into here. Oh no! I may have thrown that away a little bit there. Missed the apex again. Not the best lap, must be said. But we're still on the island, which is the main thing. I ended up in a wall. Very easy at this point to kind of overcompensate and just put the power down even quicker than you would normally do so, just to try and make up that time, but that's where things go even further awry. There's a little bit of oversteer on the exit there. Let's drive for the line. Check the flags out. And there we go, that's our qualifying lap done. Let's see where we stack up on the grid. Okay, so that little error has cost a little bit of time, but we are still P7 on the grid, so that's not too bad. Could have been far worse than that. So let's jump into the race now and see how we get on. So 15 minutes we're going to be on. We've got the energy session settings set to 15 minutes. So this is a formation lap, but we'll skip that for the purpose of this. So here we are on the grid. I'm going to leave it on a highish power mode to start off with. Forgot there's no clutch. Here we go, and we're off. Decent start. Just going to sneak up the inside there. It's one place gain already. I'm going to dive bomb these guys into the first corner. Just try and keep it neat and tidy if we can. So I'm going to leave it in a higher engine mode just to start off with, just so we can have a chance of battling for some position rather than going backwards off the start. Just going on the outside of him there. Just about made that move stick. Looks like we're up to P3. There we go. Not a bad start. Turn it down one mode now just to save a bit of energy. We're going to do some lifting and coasting as well, just because it's a good way of saving energy. There's that deep line I went into there. Now in the race, attack mode is only available after lap 3. So you've got to fight amongst yourselves for the first part of the race until that becomes available. Guys ahead are getting away a little bit here, so I'm just going to turn that back up to 8. So we're in this for the long game. Really checking out up front. Racing going on behind. First corner is very, very tricky. So it's very easy at this point to kind of go, oh no, I'm losing so much time to the guys up ahead. And try and just drive a little bit quicker, just turn everything up to the maximum and just try and make up that gap. But you're also going to use energy doing that, so you've got to be careful of how much energy you use. Got a line through that time, if not, a little bit early on the turn-in. Quick through there. So when you're on the brakes, it's recovering energy as well, so you regain a little bit of the energy that you do use, but not all of it. So the more time you spend with your foot on the brake, the more energy you're able to recover, but obviously the slower you go, so you've got to balance that a little bit. Into here because it's just a little bit quicker than me at the moment behind. Feels like I'm just driving so slowly, but I just don't want to use up too much energy. So we're P3. Oh. My teammate's going for it behind. It's a bit of a nudge. Team manager won't be too pleased about that. I must say though, the AI is not too bad. I mean, we did a live stream with some AI just recently, and the AI on Thrustmaster 2 has improved a lot as well, but the AI on rFactor 2 is also very, very good too. So you can actually have a decent race with them, even if the top two have just absolutely disappeared. So we've got 11 minutes left in the session, in the race. We're definitely 3 laps into it now, so we're going to go for an attack mode, but I am going to lose out massively here. But in theory, everyone else should be going for 1-2 at some point during the race. Might not go on the same lap as me, but they should go for an attack mode. So here we go. We're going to get ourselves ready here. Got my finger on my activation button. Brake touch later than we normally would because we're going a bit deeper into the corner. Activate attack mode. Make sure I hit each of the marks and then try and get the power down. So that's 2 spots lost, but we have a lot more power at our disposal. Really got to get it done quite early on. There we go, let's try and get him into here. He's good on the brakes. Give a block pass then. Okay, we got him. Well, I'm not going to make up all my spots back because we're going to run out of attack mode now. And we've got one other person who snuck past. So there we go, attack mode's over. It's one of my 3. Now it's worth mentioning here that if you don't use all of your attack modes throughout the race, you do get disqualified at the end of the race, so you really do need to take them. So you can't just not take them and save energy and just attack a little bit harder during the race. You have to take them, it's a rule. Let's see if we can get some ground back on this other car in front of us here now. 9 minutes to go in the session. When you got this short races like this, you don't really get too many opportunities to not to use attack mode. You've almost got to take attack mode every other lap, but that's okay. For the purposes of trying it out, happy to do so. Car behind was almost trying to make a move into there, that was brave. AI is just a little bit quicker than me at the moment, which is fine. Making a move and leaving some room. Still there. Didn't chicken out of it. Fair play. Can't quite see him on the inside, so I'm just going to close the door there. And then reopen it as I go in too deep on the brakes. But no, still got the position, which is good. Now, what I've not seen yet is any of the other cars take their attack mode, so I'm hoping they're going to do it as well, otherwise it's one massive loss for me, so we'll see. I'm going to go again for attack mode this time. It's primed. And we've got it active, and again we've lost 2 spots. I get one back straight away. Stuff it up the inside there, excuse me. Brake a little bit earlier because you've got that much extra power and you're carrying so much more speed into the hairpin. But again, we're just not going to make the time back on the other car, so we've lost 2 spots now because of taking attack mode, which is obviously a poor call on my part, but then I've got to take them. Well, I haven't got the gap behind me to take it without losing a spot, so it's just how it is. Turn 1 again was a bit tighter that time, it was a bit better. Such a technical section, but really got to be on the ball through there. He's trying to come round on me there. Just turn around engine mode down just a little bit, see if we can hold off cars behind in this section where we don't need the straight line speed. So a real traffic jam behind me, holding everybody up. Ooh, it's going for the outside. Up and running again, just turn the power back up again into the straight, and I'll turn it back down again in the tight and middle sections. So you're now getting a fuel low warning. Oh no, too late, too late, too late, too late. We've only got 6 minutes to go here. I don't think I'm going to make it to the end. Even if I absolutely go full conservative mode. Keep wanting to change gear. I don't need to. So I turn the power mode right down to 5 now. Let's see if that makes much of a difference in terms of power and energy saving. I really don't think I'm going to make it to the end of this race. Last corner once again. I'll leave it in power mode 5 and just see if this car behind just absolutely destroys me on the straight, which I suspect he probably will. Try and keep the door closed if I can. Just gonna send it around the outside, why not? Don't know how many laps I can take driving with the fuel light on. Probably not going to last much longer. Down to the braking zone, just kind of park it in the middle of the track. I've also got to take an attack mode, and I just think I need to do it on this next lap. It's another spot gone. Yeah. Forces his way through very robustly. The car behind has clouted the curb on the inside there. It's going for the move, but didn't get it done. Right, attack mode on this next lap then for me, and then that's all 3 done. But then, won't matter for much if I don't even finish the race. Oh, there we go. I left the door open this time. Oh no, just managed to brake a little bit later and just force the issue there. Here we go then. Oh, the thing's died and 3 minutes to go and I'm out of juice. Well, that's the great thing about Formula E, I suppose. You really got to be onto it, so you got to be thinking about it and saving that energy all the way. And I wasn't doing that, so well, it's a disappointing end to a race. However, I didn't notice anyone else using attack mode. I'm going to crawl through attack mode just for the sake of using it here. So there we have it, there's our review of the Formula E 2021 season car and the attack mode upgrade as well. Bit of a mixed bag there. I mean, we love the car drives really nicely, it's got great force feedback as you would expect from rFactor 2, the models are stunning, they look really, really good, they're nicely presented, they've got good textures in the paint, so even on the vision there you can see a bit of metallic flake in it, it looks absolutely superb. Sounds are good. I mean, obviously you can't commentate too much on the sounds because there isn't that many to commentate on, but simulating an electronic motor does a good job enough for me. But yeah, the force feedback's excellent, cars are great to drive. Attack mode is well done in some respects but not others, so it works well in terms of how they built it into the race, but if you're doing it against the AI, I don't think the AI actually take attack mode, which is a big disadvantage to me, the player, because if I don't take it, I get disqualified, so there's no real fairness going on there. But if you're racing online with these cars, then yes, absolutely, attack mode will really add another dimension to the racing, and that's a great thing. And it's good to have one of the official parts of Formula E on the simulator as well for us to get involved with. Quite a bit more for me to learn in terms of energy management, obviously, because I ran out of energy 3 minutes before the end of the race, so yeah, a little bit of tweaking to be done there. But overall, really good experience, and I'm really quite liking the Formula E cars in RF2. If you've tried them, let us know in the comments below what you think of them. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please do feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you really like the videos that we do. We've just reached 300 subscribers, so fantastic. Thank you so much for all your support, we really appreciate it. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, there's plenty more to come, and we'll see you all very soon.